Hey gang, Road here. Welcome on back to the Cade and another episode of Sports Saturday. We are now heading into week 14 of our first season on Sega Sports NFL 2K2 as we try and answer the great what if that this game presents to us. What if we can build the New England Patriots dynasty of the first 20 years of the 21st century had Tom Brady never existed? Well, so far, despite taking a shellacking from the New Orleans Saints last week, 14-7, it really wasn't that close. We're 10-2 on the year, so we're not in bad shape, all things considered. And let me see if I can pull up our... No, I'm not even pull up the standings at the moment. That is something that I wish they had on this game, because I'd like to see where we are relative to everybody else. There we go. So right now, we do have the best record in the league at 10-2, and the Bills, our AFC East rivals, are right behind us at 9-2. Then we have the Broncos, Ravens, Titans. The Saints are 8-3, so it stands to reason why they beat us last week. They're not a bad team by any real stretch. But as I scroll on down, the team that we're going to be taking on this week, the New York Football Jets at 3-8. This will cap off our season series with them. And true to form, we beat them in our first matchup earlier this season. And then when these two teams met again in the actual 2001 season, the Jets, who finished the year 10-5, they didn't have a bad year in 2001. We beat them. We squeaked it out playing at the Meadowlands, now known as Giant Stadium, 17-60. Just as a reminder, the Jets went 10-6 in 2001 and lost in the wild card round to the Oakland Raiders, who went on to take on the Patriots in the divisional round, which led us to the tuck rule game. That was the classic in the snow where Charles Woodson knocked the ball loose from Tom Brady, and everybody assumed, including myself, that had been a fumble. The refs overturned it, and the rest is history. So considering how poorly we did last week on offense, we struggled to run the ball, we struggled to throw the ball, just everything that could have gone wrong for us. We had turnovers, just everything went wrong. So coming back this week against the Jets, we're going to have a strong showing here. Because we are getting down to the home stretch in this first season with Sega Sports NFL 2K2. Not the best kick in the world. We're taking about the 16-yard line. Now, I'll be curious to see who the quarterback is going to be. Will it be Chad Pennington or the ageless wonder Vinny Testaverde? Because Pennington was the starter for the Jets still at this point in his career. And instead, no, it'll be Vinny Testaverde. And that was almost picked up right off the skin of the turf.
Had a pretty good hunk of that one, Dan, but just couldn't make the catch.
I know that's real frustrating when you tip a pass like that, but he's got to make those. 2nd and 10.
But if the Jets don't have the same sort of offensive line that the Saints had last week and allowing Aaron Brooks to just continue to elude our grasp, but they do still have Curtis Martin, who is a Hall of Fame running back, a former New England Patriot. He started his career with New England and then went over to the Jets when they could not reach a new contract agreement and finished his career playing under his original head coach with the Patriots, Bill Parcells, who, of course, went over to the Jets after that fell out with Robert Kraft. Good throw under pressure, and that gets a first down for the Jets.
They brought on the blitz, Dan, but it was no match for this.
The thing about Vinny Testaverde is, if I remember right, he had been playing now for, I think, 16 seasons by this point in his career. So he was already pushing 40.
Keeps attacking. 98. Stops that play in its tracks after only a couple of yards.
But he was experienced enough, having played with enough different teams and doing enough different stuff, that his ability to lead a team
7-yard line.
made him a really solid backup in the second half of his career. If I remember right, he actually finished his career with New England. And this time we were all ready for that pitch out to Curtis Martin. So that makes it 3rd and 8. I am curious to see if I can... Let me see here. Well, nobody's injured, so it looks like they're just not starting Chad Pennington, which is surprising. Because Pennington had been drafted a couple years earlier and had the potential to be a really solid starting quarterback. But the problem is that he was injury prone. And the injuries specifically that really ended him was he had injuries to his throwing shoulder. And there have been people in the last 10, 15 years who have been a bit revisionist about stuff like that and have called Chad Pennington a bust. He wasn't a bust. If you have a guy who just simply is unable to stay healthy because defensive players are teeing off on him, and the result of that is significant injuries, you can't blame that on the player himself. You call a guy a bust if he's got all his faculties about him and has all the athletic ability that he should need to succeed, and he just completely blows it. See case in point, the classic example of that in Ryan Leaf, who for the longest time was considered the greatest quarterback draft bust of all time, although now I think you could make a very real argument as J.R. Redmond barrels ahead and gets us a first down. He had to fight for those last couple of feet. But if we can do that a lot today, that'll be nice. But anyway, getting back to my previous point, I think you can make the argument that Jamarcus Russell is now the greatest draft bust in NFL history. At the quarterback position, I should say. Because he was drafted number 1 by the Raiders, and having had the year he did at LSU, expectations were super high for him, and he showed up to camp overweight, like grossly overweight, and barely made it through a full season. Oh, and Drew gets sacked. And I have to remember, this is the second time these teams met, and in the first meeting in real life, this was the team that knocked Drew Bledsoe out and spawned the advent of Tom Brady.
It's 3rd and about 13.
So we don't want to have Drew go down in this game. In traffic, but he finds Troy Brown for the first down. About 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
That is so crucial if they can pick up the rush like that. Once he has enough time, the quarterback can see all kinds of possibilities downfield.
So we're now in jet territory with a fresh set of downs. And I think there's a bit of confusion there at the line as Ellis just drove right through everybody. We got the first hit on Redmond.
Ball at the 41-yard line.
Well, I'm looking ahead to next season if we can go through and have a draft in this game, which I don't know if we can or not. I definitely have to see about getting us better offensive linemen. Because our linemen, I mean, Raymond got hit again and should have gone down right there,
To get the yards you need.
but managed to bust forward and get us another first down. I'll take it, but
Ball at the 30-yard line.
the defensive tackles are finding their way past my offensive tackles, and that, or I should say the ends rather, Lyle and Ellis.
It's upfield. Makes the
Now we're close to another first down.
Redmond eats up a lot of ground on the first down. It's all about getting that yardage.
It's put this offense in very good position. They've got 2 downs to travel a very short way. Ball on the 21. Spirals in middle.
And he goes to Johnson, and he fights his way in for the touchdown.
Johnson caught the key pass, then saw his chance and raced downfield for the touchdown.
When he's on
So
fire
Drew's
like
able to
that,
go to the
he's
air.
making room, or he's going to score on you.
Just as he got the ball away before the defensive pressure was coming through, and then Johnson has the presence of mind to just keep digging away, and we put 6 on the board.
Vinatieri will line up for the point after.
So Adam Vinatieri will come on for the point after. And it is good.
It's up. Vinatieri has the extra point.
So 25 seconds to go in the first quarter. We are on the board. After an 8-play, 68-yard drive that spans 2 minutes, 48 seconds, punctuated by that 21-yard touchdown catch by Johnson.
Vinatieri
I'll take it.
this one away.
This should be a better kick from Vinatieri.
Good kick here.
There we go. Inside the 5.
Jackson gets it deep. Comes in
And he
makes the
barely
tackle
gets
on
back
the
to the 20.
Jets want to score here and give the crowd something to cheer
You know, I do
about.
find it interesting that now that we are closing, it was week 2 of the actual NFL season this year, and there's still a lot of people who are ticked off about the change to the kickoff rules. They have what's called the dynamic kick now, that rather than sending the kick team down early,
Moss was the intended receiver, but the pass is off the mark.
once the ball is in the air, they have to wait for the receiver to catch it in a specific zone between the goal line and I think in the 15.
Yeah, I definitely think they would have popped him for the sack otherwise.
And then they can go down
Ball on the
and
20.
stop the kick returner. And I've already had people sitting there all over social media saying this is one of the worst ideas ever, and
Pick it up.
oh my god, this is going to kill football, and
Well, as you can see here, his completion numbers.
and yeah, I mean,
really
is it the
disappointing.
greatest idea in the world? Not necessarily, but also at the same time, what other options do you want them to try and have?
Third and
I mean, the game is called football, so it should involve kicking of some sort, and I don't want to get rid of the kickoff, but you were sending guys full speed down the field to plow through whoever it was who had the ball, and everybody who was in the way of the guy with the ball.
The Jets are going to give away some.
So you were having maximum
position here.
impact
Yeah,
and
they're
maximum
probably gonna
potential
punt it
for
away,
injury
and that
on
is gonna
those
hurt.
plays.
It's the end of the first quarter.
And if it's all about trying to preserve player safety, then they had to do something. Otherwise, yeah, they were talking about eliminating the kickoff altogether. And does anybody really want to see that? I don't know. But having watched the Buffalo-Miami game last night and seeing Tua Tagovailoa go down with yet another concussion on a play that, when you look at it, on paper, you think, how should that have ended with him getting concussed that way?
The Patriots have a
And it
nice
wasn't a
starting
dirty
point for
hit.
this
It wasn't
drive.
even a severe hit. It was that he put his head down and ran right into DeMar Hamlin, of all people. Who, if you know that name, and you should,
On the field after the punt, they're up 7-0.
he almost died on the field 2 years ago in Cincinnati. Oh, and they were all over that run.
Started and forces a loss of a couple of yards.
They hang tough and don't yield an inch. It's all about perseverance, Dan.
Oh, I think
And I
they
still
need
think
to
a lot of the
back
people
a
who
bit. What a
are
blow to
most
this
adamant
offense's
about
morale.
not being
They can't
happy
let
with the
that
rule
stand.
changes of
Expect
the
them to come
NFL
back strong.
are people who look themselves as old school people who are like, yeah, you know, doesn't matter if a guy gets his bell rung or whatever, he just rub dirt on it, go back out there, it's football, it should be violent. Well, that's easy to say from the safety of your couch. You're not the one who's out there getting blown up on all these different plays and having all these situations that could lead to you having lifelong injuries. And I say that as somebody who has watched sports like boxing and MMA, and even when I was a kid watching pro wrestling. You know, yeah, you can sit there and say that pro wrestling is scripted, but the action that those guys put themselves through and the injuries they sustain and the impacts, none of that is fake. They're trained to try and minimize the potential for injury, just like NFL players are. But it doesn't mean you don't get hurt. So we go 3 and out. Oh, good form tackle there by Simmons. All right, so the Jets still trail 7-0 as we've got about just under 4 minutes to go in the first half. And this time we were ready for Curtis Martin big time. Willie McGinnis, Hall of Famer. Met Hall of Famer in the backfield. And Curtis didn't win that one.
That is great D.
Yeah, you know, it's moments like this that test your resolve. Will this offense rise to the challenge or slink away?
Ball on the 37.
54.
Nearly gets it off.
Oh, that should have been caught. I think we may have got a finger on that or two, but in some ways I feel for the Jets on that one because, my God, we were having such trouble last week getting anybody to catch anything. I had guys wide open. Oh, and we get the sack on Vinny. Andy Katzenmoyer.
Having a rough day on offense out there, Dan.
He got flushed out of the pocket, I don't think by design. And Andy was right there to meet him.
Tupa lines up, and this will be his third punt of the game.
But that is one thing about this game, and in a lot of ways, it's similar to what we were dealing with in our playthrough of Super Robot Wars 3, which hopefully you guys have tuned in and watched those updates on that. Because it was part of what ultimately caused us to pull the plug on that playthrough and move on to a newer version of Super Robot Wars, which will be starting up on Monday. Was that the mechanics of that game just were not conducive to us having as much fun as we hoped we were going to have. And it's similar to a game like this where everything is calculated in the game for a potential of, is a receiver going to catch a ball when you throw it? Is the defense going to get to the quarterback in time? All that stuff is algorithmically programmed into the game.
If they want to, they are in the driver's seat. Ball on the 45.
And when you're sitting there trying to enjoy a game and play a game and win a game, and it's doing seemingly everything it can to make sure that you can't move an inch, it gets really frustrating. And I know there were probably people last week as I was playing the Saints that were like, dude, it's football, deal with it.
Currently enjoying a slight advantage, but it's anybody's game. 7-0. Ball on the 39.
All right, so 2 minutes to go.
Pass is no good, incomplete.
And no flag on the plays. Johnson got thrown to the turf.
He'll be thinking of that incompletion when he goes to sleep tonight.
Ball on the 39.
I would have expected to see a flag there.
Gets upfield. No one in front of him. 25.
But Redmond with a huge gain. And he's already got 63 yards on the day, 47 yards after the first hit.
First down, 10 yards to go.
Clock reads 1 minute.
So you got about 90 seconds to go in this first half. And he finds Johnson again. Touchdown.
Charles Johnson had the time he
So
needed to
2
get
through
to
the
the
air
end
to
zone
Charles
and was
Johnson.
open for the touchdown.
A great throw and a
Who again
big
should not be
play for this
confused with
offense.
Megatron. That is
Anytime you
not
can
the
skip
same
the
Charles
goal line stand
Johnson.
stuff and go right to the points. Hey, that's a successful drive.
But with 1:26 to go, we are now taking a 2-score lead. I would love to be able to have had Megatron on this team.
It's away. Vinatieri takes on the extra point. The Patriots taking a 2-score game. They are now
So 5 plays, 53 yards in 1:12, capped by another touchdown catch by Charles Johnson of 17 yards.
Vinatieri lines up for the kickoff.
That should be a really good kick.
This is a nice kick.
Yep, be back inside the 5, but it'll be returned.
Has it. Will make the tackle on the return.
It'll be first and 10 for the Jets at their 24-yard line. With 1:22 to go. And we will get the ball to start the second half because we elected to kick
The 25.
to open the ball game. So we have a chance to extend our lead if we can hold them here. Good hurdle by Martin, but he only gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Line of scrimmage. He throws this one
And he's got to throw that one away as the pressure was coming. So just like that, it's 3rd and 9.
Clock shows 1:09 left.
If we can hold him here and force him to punt, we still have all 3 timeouts.
Out at the 19.
Teddy Bruschi with the fundamentally sound tackle. And we'll use one of our 3 timeouts here to stop the clock with 1:01 to go. And force him to punt it away, which will give us time to hopefully move downfield and maybe
In the punt.
put 7 more points on the board, if not 3, before we hit the locker room. Tom Tupa with a good punt, just inside the 30.
Catches it. The 30.
Oh, and Troy ran. I put him the wrong way. That was Ime.
First down,
52 seconds on the clock.
Got the position offense. Now it's execute. Go! I got motion. The difference in the game is right here.
All right, so Jarrett Redmond's already got 70 yards on the ground.
Something to try to stop him.
3 yards to go.
40 on the game clock. Shotgun.
Oh, got the ball away just as the contact came in, so it stops the clock.
Nice stop.
Oh, you're so right, Peter, and they were so close to getting the first down. See, this is why everybody makes such a big deal about forward progression.
Yeah, the ability to backpedal is not something many offenses
So it's 3rd and
brag
3. We still have 2 timeouts left. And we get nowhere.
It's a nice tackle in the backfield.
Marvin Jones played smart and
Well,
aggressive and
that
kept his
went
man behind
completely
the line of
not how I
scrimmage
wanted it to
bring up
go,
4th
and I think
down.
what we'll do is we will just simply let the clock wind down here,
Punt for the second time.
because we have 10 seconds before half, and we'll just go to the locker room. We're still up by 14, and like I said, we'll get the ball back to start the second half.
It's the end of the first half. The Patriots.
But I would have liked to have had much better production on that final drive of the first half. So we'll see what we can do here as we get the second half underway from the Meadowlands in New Jersey.
Here's the signal, and we're ready to start the second half. It's off. Ball has it.
Not a bad return, but not a great one either.
The Patriots
So
have
the
had their
first
best
and 10 our
moments today when they
26-yard
use the
line.
Football on the ground. They should continue with that game plan.
It's first
But
and 10.
we're not really facing too much trouble with the clock since the second half just got underway.
He's the quintessential playmaker out there. The game plan is to get him the football and let him go to work.
Second down, 8 yards to go.
Ball at the 28-yard line.
All right, so second and 8. And that was almost picked off. Robinson was all over that ball.
Damian Robinson swatted that one away like it was trying to sell him a magazine subscription.
Yeah, he really showed good reflexes there, Peter.
Yeah,
Not
we threw an
giving the
absolute
receiver
wounded
a
duck of a
chance at it.
ball.
Yeah, it's all about
That was
keeping your head
not
up and
helpful.
your eyes sharp when you're playing defense.
Third and 8.
So third and 8.
Barely gets it off.
Gets it to Johnson, who's got room. Finds a seam, and he's well into New York territory.
Tremendous pickup for the first down.
Charles Johnson delivers a big play with a
So
monster
another big
catch.
day for
That's a
Charles
first
Johnson.
down
Again,
for
we had the ball up just before the defender came in to knock down Drew. It's first and 10 inside
Ball on the 37.
the New York 40.
Hammers him after a couple of
Now, I really want to make sure I can get JR 100 yards again today.
Second down, 6 yards to go.
The real annoying part about this is that right now, J.R. Redmond almost has as much yards on the ground for the season as Drew Bledsoe has in the air passing. And that is not how it's supposed to work.
let him get far and makes the tackle.
Because Redmond goes nowhere on that one, and it'll be third and 6.
It's now third and 6. Here comes the blitz. It's picked up.
We go to Johnson again, and he's down inside the red zone for a first down. 4 catches for 88 yards and 2 scores.
First down, 10 yards to go.
First and 10.
So first and 10 at the 17-yard line. And he finds Troy Brown and his banner renown for the third touchdown of the ball game.
For the touchdown.
They were in perfect sync on that play.
And that was a 50-50 ball. That one should have been picked off into between. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders there. I had no business whatsoever completing that ball. And to think last week I had guys, like I said, wide open and they couldn't catch a cold. Yet I can throw it here between 5 guys, and Troy Brown came up with that. That is one of those things about the design of football games where you look at it and you go, on paper, that should not have worked.
21.
I'll take it. I won't complain about it. But at the same time, you're going, huh? How the hell does that work? Tell you that this much, the defensive coordinator for the Jets would have been screaming bloody murder at those 5 guys. Fumble! And we come up with it. And because there's no replay, we get to hold on to it.
Real short field to worry about. That's where you want to start.
Yeah, that ball came up before his knee hit the ground, and then Smith was right there. Situationally perfect.
Ball on the 18.
So right back where we started from at the end of last drive at the 18-yard line. We got 2:39 to go in the third, and we can really put a bow on this one. But JR still didn't have a touchdown yet, so I want to make sure I can get him in.
5 yards to go.
Ball at the 13-yard line.
But the problem is, again, these defensive ends and the linebackers for the Jets are really opportunistic on the run. Like, I barely got back to the line of scrimmage there.
Nice play. It will be third down.
4 yards to go.
Third and 4.
So it's 3rd and 4. We're right inside the 15. And finds Johnson again for the touchdown. 3rd touchdown of the day for Charles Johnson. And Drew's got 4 through the air. I think he's doubled up. Or I should say he's put together, I think, half as many touchdowns in this game as he's had on the year through the air. So if I remember when I checked it last week, I think we found he had 8 touchdowns versus 7 picks. And he's got 4 in this game. But now the route is on because it's 28-0 with 1:42 to go in the third.
28-0.
So this should all but lock us up for a playoff spot with this win. Because we'll be at 11-2 with 4 weeks to go in the season.
Catches it in the end zone. Jackson downs it in the end zone.
They'll be 1st and 10 for the Jets at their 20.
The Jets will start out at the 20.
Martin moves ahead for a pickup of 3.
A gain of 3.
Pickup on the play. 2nd down, 7 yards.
Ball on the 23.
2nd and 7. Jets head coach Herman Edwards is probably going to have a very unhappy press conference following this game. If you don't know who Herman Edwards is, he's a former player, actually, and he is a guy who, if you've ever heard, if you're an Eagles fan, you know this all too well. But back in the late 70s, there was an event between the Giants and the Eagles where the Giants were winning the game late, and all they had to do was just essentially run the clock out. And quarterback Joe Pisarcik went to hand the ball off to Larry Zonka, who's a Hall of Fame running back from his days with the Miami Dolphins. And he never saw the handoff coming. And they fumbled the ball, and a defensive back for the Philadelphia Eagles, named Herman Edwards, picked it up and ran into the end zone as time was running out. And it went from being a surefire Giants win to a surefire Giants loss. And that is the first miracle at the Meadowlands. Well, Herman Edwards went on to become a head coach with the Jets, and then went to college and had a couple, and he was also the head coach with the Kansas City Chiefs before Andy Reid took over. But his most famous moment outside of the Miracle of the Meadowlands is, if you look him up on YouTube, is a press conference where he gets asked the question, and he is so insulted by it that he goes off on this now famous rant of, you play to win the game. Hello, you play to win the game.
Ball on the 48.
And that has followed him pretty much everywhere he has gone, both in and out of coaching to this day. Oh, Johnson finally had one and dropped it, but he got hit as he caught it.
Charles Johnson probably would have had that one if it hadn't been thrown so far to his right, Dan.
So 3rd and 5. We got 5 seconds on the clock here in the 3rd quarter. I'd love to get a first down here. We got it and then some. That's what you want. So we go to the 4th. We are on cruise control now, up 28-zip.
28-0. All at the 36-yard line.
We're in Jets territory again, and now we just really want to run the clock out. And man, if Redmond can just get past, once he gets past the line, he's doing great.
It's second and about 7 yards.
But he's got to get into that secondary first before he can do anything, and these defensive linemen for the Jets are making it really difficult for him.
Somebody get over there! Get over there!
Whoa, something happened here. They're just not moving the ball like they were in the first half.
But he's close to 100 yards.
Third and 4.
All right, so it's 3rd and 4. Goes underneath to Emmanuel for the high percentage play and a first down. 139-10, the passing differential.
Here are the numbers to prove it.
It's 1st and 10.
And we're going to move up 5 yards as they jump the gun on the Jets side of the ball. Yeah, I will take that.
McLeod gets the call for encroaching. Just snuck up a little too much on the ball.
Ball on the 16.
He didn't sneak up on it. He totally jumped the gun. I saw it. You saw it. Everybody saw it. And he's got 113 yards on 21 carries for the day. All right, so that much is done. Now I just got to get him a touchdown. And he's 6 yards away. Not that I wouldn't be happy with Drew having 5 scores on the day, but JR has been our workhorse all year. And he will walk this one in for his first touchdown of the day.
Powers ahead for the joy of 6 on that play. That's
And that puts him near as makes no difference, 120 yards rushing on the day, which I am fine with as well.
Will line up for the point after.
So Adam will come on for his 5th point after of the day. And it will be a new debtor.
It's away. Vinatieri adds the extra point. The Patriots, with that score, are now simply blowing up.
All right, 8 plays, 53 yards, and 2 minutes, 13 seconds with that 6-yard scamper by J.R. Redmond.
Vinatieri is back to kick it away. This will send them deep.
They'll take it right inside the end zone, which means they'll bring it out. And Ted Johnson with an excellent tackle.
The Jets are down, but
right at the 20.
They need to speed up the game tempo and, above all, score.
All right, let's see if the Jets can put anything together here, or if they're going to drop to 3-9 on the season. Well, they're going to drop to 3-9 anyway, because there ain't no way they're coming back from this one.
Look how much more effective they are at stopping the run. Credit has
And we've
to
held
go
Curtis
to
Martin
the
only
team for
15
playing some of the
rushing
best
yards
football
today.
they've ever played.
Ball on the 27.
Keep your eyes open. Don't give him an inch.
So under 3 minutes to go now.
Down. Dead. Take motion, man. Take motion, man.
That should have been a sack. I mean, I'm glad we stopped him how we did, but
Third down coming up.
how Vinny got away from that sack, I have no idea.
Ball at the 27-yard line.
When you get up from my hit, your clothes are going to be out of style.
Because Vinny was not the most elusive quarterback on his best day anyway.
Here is a key number. What fantastic defensive play. They have really put a clamp on any offensive production.
So 4th and 4. Are they going to go for it? Are they going to... Nope, they're going to punt it.
Tupa comes in to punt after a 3-and-out.
Well, he punted it away before the 2-minute warning, though. Yep.
Nice punt.
All right, so this should bring us to the 2-minute warning.
Brown catches it. The 30. 45.
We're right at midfield.
Very, very nice return. And
Okay, so now all we got to do is just run the clock out.
we've reached the 2-minute warning. The
Which means
Patriots
I don't have to worry about
offense is
throwing
down
it.
And the offense has put up the points. So they lead. 0.
Ooh, JR went backwards.
Just past the line of scrimmage.
Okay, I may have to throw it. Not that I want to.
Ball at the 50-yard line.
So we're going to go to 11-2 on the year. And like I said, that should have... If we don't have a playoff spot locked up already, we should have it completely locked up by now. Because at this point, Buffalo is playing for a wild card spot, and we will take them on one more time before the end of the year.
It's upfield. Comes in and makes the tackle.
Maybe 3rd and 4.
Redmond is short of the first down, but he ate up a lot of ground. They just need to clean their plate on 3rd down.
I knew the food references would be here somewhere.
All right, so 3rd and 4, and we're just going to have to do a little quick pass. I'm not looking for big yardage here. I'm just looking for a completion and movement of the sticks.
They pick it up. Spirals at middle.
And picked off.
Is down after making a great play.
So I throw 4 touchdowns today, and of course I have to throw 1
Right
pick.
where he needed to be to hijack
I
that pass.
should have just let it. Should have just ran it.
Came away with a nice hit.
Playing with my food. I should know better.
Offense to capitalize. They trail.
Except I wasn't trying to run up the score. I was just simply trying to move the chains.
Throw on the plate. Let's see what it is.
Well, the Jets are going to back up 5 yards.
Kevin Mawai looked like he was trying to draw somebody off sides, but he'll take home the flag this time.
40 on the game clock.
So 40 ticks on the clock.
21.
It's picked up. Barely gets it off.
He's not bringing much to the party downfield. Catching the football is great, but that needs to be the start.
And Hatchett caught it.
Not the end.
They're not taking a timeout.
Tosses middle. His tackle.
So that was caught, dropped. Martin recovered it.
Cover the loose ball. The clock is down to 18.
Dan, look at how
And that was almost picked off. That should have been picked.
Credit's got to go to the DBs who are playing some of the best football they've ever played.
The clock is at 15.
All right, so 15 seconds to go.
Incomplete.
That was almost picked off as Brewski was right there and just let it slip out of his
He really took
fingertips.
a chance with that throw. There were 2 guys out there who might have picked it off.
So 3rd and
He
10.
obviously thought that, you know, he can thread a needle and get to his receiver, but I'll tell you, that is a big risk.
A risk he didn't need to take, in my humble opinion.
We have a flag
We
on
got
the
a penalty on the field. We're going to decline this because I'll make it 4th and 10. I think, are they going to punt it? Nope, they're going to go for it.
Clock is down to 8.
All right. Not that this is for the ball game or anything. This is more for posterity than anything else. And it's caught. But they don't stop the clock, and that is the ball game. So we come into the Meadowlands and spank the Jets and drop them to 3-9 on the season with a 35-0 shutout. So we are at 11-2 on the season. And who do we play next week? We take on the Cleveland Browns. So that, everybody, is Sports Saturday for this week. So as we're winding down this first season, like I said, we'll get through the playoffs, and then the question will be, how do we want to proceed after that? My thought is, I want to see if I can do a draft and I can add new players, which I should be able to. If I remember right, that was a possibility in these games for Sega Sports. It wasn't always a constant feature in NFL games back in the day, though, so we'll find out as we go. But in the meantime, if you've been enjoying the content, as always, you know how to show it. Be sure to tune in for Sucker Punch Sunday tomorrow, where we'll play a classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And like we said, we are starting up a new Super Robot Wars playthrough. We're going to play Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden from 2001 for the PlayStation 1. I've already recorded some episodes of that. They're being edited down now. And the crew and I are a lot happier with how these are turning out. So I think we're going to have more fun with it. It shows the franchise off better. And I think we're also able to contain them time-wise in a better way. They're about 30 to 45 minutes at the very, very most. Our first couple of episodes were only about 30 minutes, which is exactly what we were hoping for with Super Robot Wars 3. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. One programming note, we are going to be off next weekend, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. I have to go out of town for a work project, so I will not have the ability to pre-record episodes before that because I got to front-end my work schedule before I get out of Dodge for a couple of days. So we will be shut down for next weekend, but normal service will be returned by the time I get back. We may have one of our Super Robot Wars episodes come out on Tuesday rather than Wednesday, or we may just double up on Wednesday. We'll see how it all shakes out. And like I said, we are looking at potentially taking a hiatus in November, just because I have another side project that I'm working on that is both time sensitive and heavily involves quite a lot of work. So I have to make a decision on that and how much time I can allocate to that as opposed to being able to record episodes. So we still got a little bit of time. Watch this space. We will let you know and figure it out as we get closer to that. Be sure to follow us on social media at Ronin's Retrocade, both on Instagram and Threads. Help spread the word about us as we continue to build this channel and make it bigger and better. My name is Ronin. It's been great to spend the Sports Saturday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming. We will talk to you tomorrow for Sucker Punch Sunday. Bye.